Hello, model kit fans, but actually more action figure fans. If you watch any of my model kit videos, you find that I complain a lot about painting and how time consuming it is. But sometimes you gotta do it to have a cool model. I would much rather pay someone to paint models for me, or in this case, this company pretty much has an action figure or a model kit that's already painted, so that's why I bought it. It reminds me of the Bandai Gundam called Shinmusha. This one is called Takeda Shingen. So I did some research, and he was a warlord in feudal Japan. He ran the Kai. He was the lord of the Kai province between 1941 to 1973. And these were brutal times. He ousted his father from power, and then one of his 6 sons tried to kill him later on, and he was in many battles. Here's just a list of some of the battles he was in. So, yeah, a very historic part of Japanese culture, it seems. And there's obviously artwork, but DID made a realistic 1/6 scale action figure of him. And, yeah, so this guy's really popular in Japan, it seems. Okay, well, anyways, back to this. I don't want to make model kits if I don't have to. Let's see if this thing is a good model kit or a good action figure or both. I don't know. I have no idea. So I bought this locally, but I saw some listings on AliExpress, so I'll try to find you a buy link if you want to save some time and keep this channel running. The brand, I believe, is called Moshow Toys. And this the Illustrious class. I don't know what that means. It's got 3 stars. Maybe they have different grades of toys. 15-year-olds and up. Far East Theater Mecha with Consciousness of Talos. Of course, that makes no sense. An Illustrious class painted model with metal frame. Metal frame, and that's nice. Okay, so what's nice about this is you have a plastic wrapper. This is imported into Thailand. I'm trying to see if there's a date. It does say MCT-J02. Maybe this is their second in the series. This looks like another... Alright. There's a hologram as well. And an open thing here. I don't know. It's made of all sorts of materials. And sadly, there's no date on it. So it's going to be hard to know how old these are in 30 years. Whatever. Oh, this is actually on the... It's not on the wrapper. Anyhow, I like that it's wrapped in this plastic. Although I hate plastic, I know I'm buying a new product. So, although an easier way to do this is just to have this. Oh, it has both. The branded tape seal. So even if you lose this, now you know if it's a new product, if this tape seal is intact. So let me cut that. Going on? This thing is some sort of tabs. I gotta get out from underneath the other tab. And there we go. I don't see any sort of scale listing here either. So, no idea how big this is. Well, it looks well packaged. Look at this. This is getting fancy here. So if you want to give someone a nice Christmas gift or something, this looks like it could be it. A Christmas gift for lazy modelers. Moshow Toys, there's a website there if you want to check out what else they have. A warranty sheet, what? Look at this, there's a scratch off serial number. That's crazy. That seems totally unnecessary, but I guess maybe this is limited if it has a serial number. Right, so if you want to have a warranty claim, I guess that's the process. That is the first. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that in a toy. Alright, nice crazy images here. Nice. So we should have 10 sets, maybe 12, because there's 2 on the figure itself. Hands. Some sort of rack maybe of the hands. The katana, maybe a wakizashi, is that the shorter one? And then a crazy looking axe. And then a stand. Alright, so it's actually telling you the process here. Movement. And I'm going to just flip through this. You can pause the video and read this yourself. And I'll just pause the video and read it later. Hopefully it's in focus. impressed. Very impressed. You usually don't get like a 10-20 page instruction manual with an action figure. Oh, that's cool. You can put them up vertically and stuff. Little action scene there. It says batteries. Does this thing have lights? Okay. Alright, let's keep going. As I get the stand out of the way, and what's in this box? I don't know. Some sort of foil bag. What's in a foil bag? Some sort of text. Is that the cleaning cloth? No. What? What? Whoa, there's a part in here. Do not go ripping through this too loosely. That is really strange. Why would you hide a part inside of a foil bag? Right? Someone could easily just break this without knowing if you can't see the contents, right? This should be a clear bag. Very strange. There's green on here. I don't know if that's a wrapper? No, I guess that's weird. I don't know what the deal is with this. If this... Maybe the instructions, we'll get to it later. And then for some reason, Moshow trading cards. I wonder if they have a cartoon show. Maybe that's why it's called Moshow, right? Well, that's a thick cardboard trading card that I really didn't want, but maybe it's related to some sort of cartoon franchise. Just save that for later. Just get the lame stuff out of the way. Boy, this thing has got some metal in it, I can already tell. Wow, that's a really nice base. I think this is a metal plate. It's cold to the touch. So this is a metal plate with some sort of printing on it of, you know, mechanical panel details, and it tells you what it is. And it's inside this plastic thing, and there's 4 pieces holding the corners down. So that's a very, very elaborate. And yeah, you can pop it out if you want, but I see no reason to. Nice strengthening ribs. Boy, that's expensive. I would have been happy just this being plastic. But maybe it's metal to help offset the weight of the figure on top of it, toppling the whole thing over. Maybe, you know, it seems like they've thought it out just by the instruction panels, instruction manual. Okay, so that's this. A nice little nameplate with some Japanese in this orientation and English, so that's cool. Oh, it's magnetic, so that's a steel plate. Very cool, very cool. This is really impressive. Darn it! I don't want to buy more of these things. I don't have room for this kind of stuff. But I guess I'd be annoyed if it was a junky toy, right? A junky model. Boy, these are aluminum. It's like camping. It reminds me of camping gear. So what the heck? Why there's 2 diameters? They don't fit within each other. Oh, this is the handle of the axe. Yeah. All right. So the axe part. This is all plastic here. It's very light. And then this thing just, I guess, make sure it's parallel, straight, snapped in. And yeah, so we got some sort of 4 diamond thing. I guess that's popular in Japanese culture. This is a dark gunmetal. This part looks silver. I don't know. It's hard to tell. It looks like 2 different grays at one point, but then at certain angles it looks like it's the same. Now I do think it is different. Like I think it's lighter out here. It's kind of a weird blade though. Why would you have this? Right? It's like a that's kind of weird. Spiky thing here. That's a dark black. That's a black color. Yeah, it's another spike there. Some red. So this thing alone has several, like 5 different colors. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5 or 6 colors. Crazy. Nice details and stuff. You could add a paint wash if you really wanted to get into those gaps, or even use like a neon paint wash, which I have. But let's just leave it stock for now. Okay, so I guess this big one is for the stand. So I guess it has to be metal, because if there's metal parts in this robot, it would break most plastic stands. What is this thing now? So I'm gonna figure that out later to save time. Figure that out later. I almost thought these are moving hands, but they're not. So they're painted gunmetal for the insides, and they're all nice and posed in different ways. And then there's a separate red piece, of course. There's no printing on the back side though. You could take a Gundam decal kit and make this look crazy nice. Even little, I gotta change the angle here. Little hinge details molded in between those fingers. So really good attention to detail there. It could have easily just been a flat surface in there, but it looks like a hinge, right? So very cool. And then they're ball pegs, okay, and a pretty good fit into this little rack. Oh, I see. Maybe somehow half of this. Oh, I guess it just snaps on. Never mind. Although this is kind of weird. See, the hands are colliding. So maybe you got to spin this hand to the back. Yeah, so I think you want to at least flip these middle hands this way. So then you can pop this on this rod here. And there you go. You got your hand rack. Alright. Let's get into this now. There's no tape, which is nice. Very convenient. And then I may as well measure this while it's in here. So the height of this thing is, I would say 21, 22 centimeters. It's hard to say because I don't know what's underneath this foam. So we do have some plastic to keep the vacuum forming from scratching this nicely painted figure. Okay, so bottom of the foot to the gold part, I would say it's 215 millimeters or 8.5 inches. So it looks to me like a master grade size. Much bigger than high grade size, but much smaller than perfect grade. So maybe it's a 1/100 scale-ish robot, if it's supposed to be Gundam-like. But it definitely looks Gundam-like, so you could definitely pose it next to Gundams. Okay, so now we got these giant, I guess, maybe they're shoulder protectors? A giant sword. Okay. Alright, let's look at these little things up close. The shorter sword. Nice panel grooves and the like. And look, tampo printing. It's not a decal, it's paint. It's a paint process. So that's never going to go bad unless you physically scratch it. It's not going to peel off or anything like decals, which is great. And then I feel like this is painted red. It's far too nice looking than just raw plastic. So, and then they added this gold tampo print here on that detail. A very tight seam line there. Very impressive. Okay, that is really cool. And then, so this could just be raw black plastic, I think. What's going on here in the handle? Oh boy, that's a much nicer sword. I feel like there could be oil in there. Look at this. It's got the waviness of the sharpening process. You know, showing the layers of the steel. So yeah, back here it's all dark gunmetal gray, lighter waviness, and the silver for the edge. So that's actually pretty similar to a real Japanese sword. And the curvature is nice, and it fits in the scabbard very nicely. You can see a little bump there, so that's what's keeping it from just being a floppy, loose mess. Right, so a little snap. Well engineered, very impressive. Going back to this, maybe in the cartoon, the knife catches on, illuminates, or it's an electric sword or something. It looks like it's the same size, but maybe, well, let's just, it is the same size. Yeah, so this must have to do with the animation, if there is such a thing. And this one's glossy, it's black, so you do definitely have two different styles here. This one's more matte finish, I would say. Crazy. This thing's awesome. I bought this with my own money. I didn't get this for free. But if Moshow, you guys want me to review your stuff, I'd be more than willing to, take some samples to review. Cheap plug right there. Alright, so same thing going on here. The different paint apps, very nice, and the bumps there to keep it locked in. Now this one's a little bit more effort because the back, or the tip of it, it's got an extra piece, right? I wonder if it's the same part. Nope, I thought it was maybe, no, totally different. And then a whole bunch of, printed details. Possibly, maybe these mean like how many robots it took out or something, right? Maybe this one I took out 7 robots. Possible, I don't know. I don't know. Leave a comment if there's some sort of story behind all this stuff. Alright, so this shoulder armor, so nicely painted again. It's a nice matte finish. You can see the reflection, no sharp reflections. And then the printing is very nice printing. This MCT-J02 is legible. Let me zoom in on this one. I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's Chinese or Japanese kanji letters. I don't know. Leave a comment if you know. And so, nice fine white lines. What's this text say? Can I focus on it? Caution, something or another. I'm going to zoom in 4 times. Caution. I cannot make out the rest. But bear in mind, this is my fingertip, so it's acceptable to me. I can't see it with the naked eye anyways. In between these red panels, you do have this gunmetal, and that has some panel gaps in it too. So that's nice, some sort of vent detail there. And then you have this gold, more like a satin finish gold, I would say. And then some gunmetal gray details instead of that. And so different printing here. So left and right, maybe? Yeah. So you have different, images from both sides. So that's cool. Very cool. Alright, so then on the inside, they look identical. There's 2 screws holding this thing, and then you have this double hinge thing going on. I think this part I'm touching is metal. It's die-cast metal. There's a metal pin. Yeah, so a friction pin. But I think the rest of it's plastic, minus those screws, of course. So even on the underside here, you have a bunch of molded details, panels, recesses, and stuff. This is really amazing. Amazing. Very cool. Alright. To the main show. Do be careful of this. These horns look very delicate. Some desiccant. Activate carbon. Alright, doing that. I don't understand. There are activated charcoal tablets you can eat for medicinal purposes, but in general you're not supposed to eat carbon, I believe. Okay, so it's nice that they have this extra foam to keep the parts from scratching each other if they should shift during movement of... That's not English. Okay, just gotta slowly get this out of here. Oh, and I tore it. That's a shame. I think I saw this comes out, so that helps with the ab crunch. I don't know if these move. They look like they do. Yeah, alright, so you can swing the arms up. Get this foam out of here without tearing it. Does this come off? I don't know. Well, that's coming up at least. These flop in and out. This is all live. I'm not rehearsing my videos. I don't have time for that. And I totally understand if you just skip 99% of this and just go to the end. But if you're going to buy a nice expensive toy, you might want to watch this so you don't break it, and I will be the fool that breaks this toy. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to, as we saw here, I might as well get this out of the way. 2 Phillips screws holding these plates on, nice molded details on the back side. And then they're on ball pegs, so obviously you can spin them and get a little butterfly effects and whatnot spread out. So that almost looks like a flying device on its own. Tiny bit of gold in there, right? They could have easily skipped that, but they didn't. And it's actually recessed as well. I don't even know how they got that gold in there to look so nice. Some thruster details and stuff like that inset. So this looks very Sinanju or Nightingale-like, this thing here. Those are Gundam robots, by the way. But well painted. I mean, it's just... They must have painted it all gunmetal first, masked off the backside, and then painted the red or something. It's just... Yeah, it's well done. Okay. Let's pop that back on. I'm going to just go through the manual here. So first the head. Right, we can tilt it side to side. No problem. So I hit focus here. Sorry. Yeah, that's a lot of head tilt there. And then you can go forward quite a bit. They actually, hollowed out that area, so it's actually looking very down. In fact, it's looking down here. So that's really good articulation for a robot. And the back, not so much though. The samurai sword helmet looking thing is colliding there. Alright, so now the next thing it's saying is you can remove this back plate to get the batteries. Oh boy, it's asking for 2 AG1 cells. I do not know if I have such a thing. Let me come back. So unfortunately, I do not have such batteries. I've never even heard of an AG1. You can pull the whole thing out, and you see this tab. This goes on the bottom. So after you do get those two, you slide it back in like so, and then you can pop it back in the head. And then it's magnetically operated. That's why the nameplate has a magnet. So you get near it, and it'll turn on the lights that would illuminate the back of the eyes. So since I don't have the batteries, I'm just going to take this flashlight, and there you go. You would have green eyes illuminated if you actually had batteries. But not the top part. The top part, this thing doesn't have a light bar, so it's only the 2 eyes. So it's a nice gimmick, I guess, but it could have been better. And obviously it would have been nicer if they just included the batteries, but oh well. Alright, so nice friction fit though of this piece. I just want to be careful putting it back, aligning it. You know what, maybe, well, the instructions do clearly show this metal tab on the bottom. Maybe it wants to be the other way. I'm going to try and put it in upside down, because the thing is peaked, the head. So if I do put it in this way, it will go in. Yeah, you know what? I think the instructions are wrong. You want to put it in so the peak is at the top. Pretty nice tight fit there. Not so much down here, but you're not going to see it anyways in most instances. Alright, so now it's recommending to do an ab crunch, you want to remove the front part. So you gotta lift it up a little bit or just pull it out, and you see the plastic tab there, just stuck in there. So it was on the piece last time, I think. So it might come with this or it might stay on there. Either way, it doesn't matter. These side things can pivot outwards, as you can see, but also you can remove the rear part if you want. I'm going to just do it. So yeah, this time it came with the part. So it's nice mechanical details again, nicely painted. Some white tampo printing, gold there as well, black, all the little recesses down there with different color, amazing. This actually has 2 different reds. There's a red and a burgundy-ish color as well. Little black printing up, black part with some white printing on that. So a lot of details there, molded in paint. You can see part of this is a plastic cap for this metal frame here. I'm also wondering if this can come off. Oh, this is actually screwed in. So these side plates, you don't want to pull at them, you'll break it, right? You can unscrew it, but I'm not going to bother. Alright, so now, let's see, ab crunch wise. It's a few degrees, maybe 20, 30 degrees if I had to guess. Going back though, there is none at all. It's just, you can stand straight up, that's it. So, alright, and now we know. Let's see what else here. I was going to swing all the way out to the side to look like weird deflectors or something like that. Let's see. Oh, actually, this can pivot even all the way back without the piece there. So, the metal hinge with a pin, but this is a plastic part in it. And then this thing here, we have, I think this is a metal piece. It's in this hinge here. And then there's a pivot of plastic, and there's a hinge in this plastic pivot. So, definitely a lot of different movement, right? Up, down, rotation, then this thing folds in. Okay, so very cool, very neat. And there's a peg hole for something. So looking at these plates here, some nice printing again, maybe warning symbols, some black in between the red panels. This has actually, I think that's a paint process right there. So very cool, overlapping, definitely looks like samurai armor. Few recesses, you could add some more paint details or marker details, I guess. Alright, so now let's see about these hips. Alright, lifting those up here, you can see there's just a shaft here, so you can well, the leg's colliding with that there, but I guess, maybe, no, still going to collide. So that much back and forward, a good 90 degrees. So almost a split, but not quite. Alright, and so you can see there's a hinge here. So it looks like there's a metal cap, maybe the inside is plastic, and then a metal cap again, and some sort of pin crossing over those parts. So let's see how wide we can split this. Yeah, not quite a Jean-Claude Van Damme, but pretty close. Pretty close. So that's pretty good. And then this is all die-cast metal here. And this, oh, that's what this is. This is the stand that interacts with that. And oh, because it's clear, I didn't even see it really. There's a hole here that goes around that whole stand. So now we figured that out. That's good. Let's get that out. Nice long peg so it won't fall off easily. And you can adjust the tension, I think, with that screw. Okay. I'm going to continue with the leg here. The instructions are a little out of order. So there's a peg clearly going into the thigh. So you can rotate that. There's no drop down of the hip though. It's just, you know, it can't come down any further. Now the bending of the knee. Let's see here. I think it's so one will go almost 90, and then I think maybe it can go further. Let's. Okay, so yeah, now the lower is bent. So now it's pretty much scrunching up against itself. And if that armor wasn't in the way, it can kick its own back. So that's impressive. So looking at the details now, yeah, metal pin. This is cold to the touch, so that's a metal kneecap. More pins here. The dark red, the light red, some gold claw-like details, some sort of warning on the kneecap there. I wonder if this kneecap is independent. I don't know. I almost feel like it's supposed to pivot there, but maybe it doesn't. Oh, I'll get to that later. Alright, so put that back. So the black top of the knee blends in nicely with the thigh. It's a nice design. And yeah, for some reason these remind me of claws, which makes sense because the chest is more like a lion or something. Alright, so now we have these movable ankle guards, and first the main center part will pivot up and down, and then these must be on ball pegs to flay around and rotate like so. So that's nice. So then we have some more printing here, a caution thing there, some recessed details there, nice detail at the back here, some overlapping plates it looks like, a little green coming across to the back. And now we get to the ankle area. Like this piston, I don't know if this moves. No. What's going on here as a warning, but this looks like metal on plastic. You would think the ankles would be all metal because that's usually the weakest part. Alright, so it's a straight peg right there to rotate that foot all the way around. That's not common in figures, rotating 360 like, well, I guess it is with ball pegs though. Unless it is a ball peg. Oh, look at that. So it's a hexagonal hole, so it won't get stuck too much. And the toe will bend up a little bit, and there's a magnet, so this will help keep this thing planted on that metal base. That's actually very small. Oh, two magnets. So as long as your feet are touching, it's going to be hard for this to fall over. So that's really smartly designed. Some sort of recessed venting maybe. Yeah. Not sure what that would be for. A little groove. Some sort of plastic detail looks like a pivot, but it's really, the pivot's hidden there. So gunmetal, again, matte finish, looks nice. Alright, so now looking at this, yes, a big metal peg, and then yeah, you can see the ball peg system of this guard. It's a J-shaped peg, and a hinge there. But I feel like this is a separate piece, but somehow I gotta get the whole ankle to move forward. I see, it was a little stuck. So watch this. I'm gonna move that out of the way. I'm gonna hold the whole foot, push it forward. You'll see the whole gray thing comes with it. So that's pretty cool. I don't know if I've ever seen anything like that. I don't build Gundam model kits too much. Maybe Bandai does something like that. But how that extends out to cover up the gappiness is really smart. I only wish this piece here was metal, because that would be the breaking point there. Anyways, that's neat. Although I was expecting the piston to actually move. But no, they make the whole lower calf move. Some gunmetal in there. Very neat. And the last bit is there's a peg going horizontally, so you can have the rocker there. So let's see, getting the splits and the rocker of the feet inwards. If you had a steel table, you can actually pose this anywhere, but let's look at this now. That's a crazy dance move right there. Okay, moving to the arms here and shoulders. So we do some printing here in the biceps, some at the wrist as well. This looks like it's metal, this hinge for the elbow. The dark red and the light red. Okay, going to the back here. We have more printing in 2 spots. We have a peg hole for accessories, I assume. Same on the top of the shoulder peg hole. And then the wrist. But let's see how much... is there a butterfly in here? Oh yeah, okay. So the little bit of a butterfly in the shoulder. And then you can obviously spin that all the way around. But be careful colliding with other things. Does it come out? I wonder if it slides in and out. Oh, yes, look at that. That is a crazy amount of slide out. I wasn't expecting that. So now, that's a crazy amount of butterfly. Alright, that's cool. So yeah, you can really get into some tight poses with around the chest. Alright, let's see what else we can see. This looks like it's metal here, but that is plastic. So, does this pivot independently? Yes, it does. So that goes up and down. And it can spin around. So inside, not much detail on this one. No. But it gives a good view of the metal shoulder joint there. Yeah, okay. And so that hinges up, as you can see. Right. And then the elbow. Well, actually, let me see if the bicep spins. It must, right? Yeah. Try to hold this in place. Oh, well, that's actually convenient that it removes, so you can just grab this. Alright, so the bicep will spin, that's good. And then, you know what, I want to remove the head because I'm really worried about... I don't think it comes off easily. I'm worried about breaking these horns. See, I see what's going on up there, but I can't tell, it's so dark. There's a split in that cup, so I think with enough force you could get that off, but forget it, it's too much. I don't want to ruin my brand new thing. Alright, so this elbow here, right now it's kind of in a 90 degree, but yep, double hinge, can almost collapse over itself and exposes all this metal, but the middle part is plastic. They're mixing the metal and the plastic, possibly to reduce friction, or maybe let the metal grab the plastic. Maybe it increases friction. I'm not sure. What are your thoughts on that? Alright, well, anyhow, that's really cool. And now the hands, they look metal, but it's just paint, of course. So, yeah, a nice satisfying pop-out sound. And that's it, right? So this one's just got a fist. We'll put something else there later. So I missed this. Obviously we saw the ab crunch here in the lower pivot, but there's so much gappiness here, there must be a top one, and there is, so hold that. Now I can, that's fully maxed out. And, well, I don't know what you would call that angle, because it's a 2-point bend. But it looks pretty good. And just watching from the back here, right, how it collapses over itself. You could scratch up some paint there, so you gotta be careful doing that. Can't tell what's going on up there, but I'm pretty sure there's probably a hinge or a ball peg. I can see a little structure in there for the shoulders. But this again is so gappy, I'm pretty sure you could tilt maybe this. Yep, you can tilt that to the side. It's just all a little tight being new. Alright, so a few degrees of upper ab tilt side to side. The bottom, can it do it? I gotta move these plates out of the way. Be careful of the horns. I wonder if this comes apart. No, I'm trying to pull it apart now. I don't think the lower can tilt side to side. I think it only goes forward and back. But obviously you can rotate the whole thing. Okay, so now what details are here? It almost reminds me of the Voltron lions. I don't know if there's a hatch that opens. No, it doesn't. But it looks like that would be a door to get into the thing. And then some white saber teeth there. Some venting, some gold and gunmetal venting there. Yeah, black details here. A little gunmetal, the green eyes in the chest match the green eyes in the upper head. The head's got some funky metallic teeth. There's some neck details down in there, right? Very cool. Even, well, not so much there. Okay. So now the back here, we have recessed black gunmetal parts, the printing, hazard, other warnings, venting details there. So yeah, it's definitely well detailed. It's quite nice. Definitely has samurai vibes with the overlapping armor. Okay, so let me start putting some of this back together. So this is the front part. Okay, the back part. So you probably want to line up, you know, this thing and push it in that direction. Okay, so all the way up, down, you can reveal some of that. Right, so that's cool. Same in the front, up and down, in and out for these flaps. Okay, so that's all tight now. Then if you want, you can slap on the extra giant shoulder armor into these peg holes up here. Wiggle that in. And you can push it in to hide it that way. Or hide that lower one, have this one up here. Maybe try to see if this will fold over itself. Will it? It has to. I'm trying to get this over there. Maybe I should do it off of the thing. So you might have to do this. Yeah, I think it's supposed to be like this. It's just, the joints are really tight. Okay, yeah, I think it's going to be better off this way. Alright, so nice and tight to the line of the inner shoulder there. Yeah, this one. Yeah, all the joints are quite tight being new. What's nice is you have that extra range to just allow better posing. Let the armor clear other parts of armor. Definitely looking like a samurai robot that plays football. American football, that is. This ankle thing just popped loose on its own, which is actually probably a good thing. So it's better for parts to pop off than to break, right? So it's, I think, smartly designed. It's now saying if you want to wield the axe, you actually have to take both ends off to get the hands around it. I guess you could just take one end off and do it that way, but I'm going to pick these hands that are in the middle. In fact, let's just undo this. Alright, slide this hand here. Well, no. I'll slide this one on here. Maybe that is why it's suggesting take both sides off, but this is on so tight. I'm not sure if this, I'm pretty sure this is anodized aluminum, so I have a suspicion it might get scratched up if you constantly put these on and off. It's not, I don't think it's tapered, but for some reason I'm having a hard time getting the hands on this thing. You can just hear that friction, right? Wow, that takes a lot of force. Alright, that's as far as that hand's gonna go on. I kind of think maybe they would have been better to chamfer something a little more. No, maybe not. I think maybe it's just where it has to work loose. There could be some extra flash in those hands. In fact, yeah, it is getting a little better now. So then, when that is done, $390 grams with the axe. So yeah, it definitely has some heft to it, for sure. Definitely more than a regular all plastic kit, for sure. Alright, so now those pieces I had no idea were, they pop in the back and hold the swords. So this little piece comes off. Oh, there it is. Alright. That's kind of loose, so if you don't want to lose that, you probably want to put poster putty on that. So you can carry one sword sheath with this one. Oh, but why would I do that when I could just carry both with this one? Alright. Alright, so simple enough. I don't know if there's a stop there. I feel like it's stopped against something. There might be a groove that this thing is stopping on, but alright. There you go. Vertical, whatever, angled like that. That seems pretty good. Now obviously it can start becoming a wobbly mess. So again, the magnetic feet. Every action figure, every posable humanoid looking thing should have magnetic feet, or the lower half of the leg is all metal just to keep it planted, right? So this is well thought out. So if you're going to just have a static pose like this, it's obviously not going to fall down with the feet, but for more dynamic posing, I think that's where this thing comes into play. And this is well designed as well, so obviously that's going to go around the metal post and back. But you'll see this thing, this little tab, this is a lock for the angle. So as I move this, if I push this in or downwards, it's going to find that notch. Or maybe it's the other way around, let's see. There, actually I want to push it that way. So you can see the plastic just engaged that tooth, see? So there's no way that's going to work loose very easily, because there's literally a big tooth and then the magnetic feet. I don't think it would be advisable to try to suspend this off this. The robot's too heavy. You'll probably break this at some point. This is just for stabilization purposes. And so this unthreads easily to reduce the tension. And so it probably makes sense to actually jam this up in the lower part of this robot. Undo that tooth thing. It just come out 90 degrees, I guess. Find that. Slap it on here. Whoa. Well, you know what? It is actually... You know what? I'm mistaken. I mean, it doesn't feel flimsy, this plastic bit. So maybe it is specifically to have this thing in flying, jumping, running poses and stuff. I'm still a little paranoid, so I'm going to lower it down so it doesn't fall as much if it should ever break. But I think this is supposed to tension it on that rod. It did collide as well. I always feel, well, possibly it would be nice if this thing was longer. Or really, they should have two pivots. One here is okay, but they should have another pivot here so you can extend this out further. Because look, it's so close to the back of this, it's not really in the middle. So that could have been designed better, I think. If I undo this lock, see, it'll move forward. Eventually it'll just stop, but I think it would still be smart to maybe lock it, right? So it feels kind of rigid, right? Now let's see if we can maybe get a different pose here while it's just floating up in the air. Unfortunately, not much of a back ab crunch, so poses like this, maybe not the best sense. Yeah, that's the one thing that I think it would have been cooler. Or maybe allow this metal rod to actually be in the middle. because I feel like it's, well, yeah, I don't know. Minor problem in the overall scheme of things. This is a really cool robot. Another thing I'm really liking, these hands are not brittle plastic. They're probably PVC or something. They flex a little bit. So that's really smart, right? You don't want to have rigid fingers because you're going to break them when you try to jam weapons in like this, right? So let's get this on here now. And let's try to get this thing spinning for once. I gotta really back out my camera here, my phone, and hit focus. Yeah, it's quite large, as you can see, but the stand does a good enough job with that aluminum rod. I just wish it was just a double pivot clear thing, so you have more options. And also, the interface of that into the robot isn't a standard 3mm round peg. If it was, then you could use other brands, Gundam stands. Like I have a metal one that would be perfect for this, with pivot points, or so you could get different, better posing out of just a straight rod like that, like on this thing. But honestly, I'll probably just end up using the magnetic feet because this still kind of freaks me out. But it's doable. It's doable. So I thought I'd just show the two other hands. So the wavy hands, they look fine, and then these two hands fit the sheaths perfectly. So that's pretty cool. Try to get the knee plant down. This is as low as I could get it to the ground. Yeah, maybe you have better experience posing figures. I don't really have time. So, alright, so that's it for this one. Alright, yeah, I tried to get like an overhead chopping pose, but unfortunately there's too much armor there. If you remove these things, you might be able to pull it off, but I'm trying to, show the maximum amount of parts here, so, okay. The video was so long I totally forgot about size comparisons. So here's a 1/44 scale, Bandai is one of these 30-minutes missions robots. I forget the name of it, but I still like it. But the problem with the Bandai, these model kits in particular, they're just floppy messes unless you glue them. But I don't want to glue the things together, so I find that the joints also on 30 minutes missions, they're just too loose. Even though the whole thing is made of plastic, they don't really want to hold a pose very, very well after you move them a few times. So that's why that is the reason why I stopped collecting 30 minutes missions, because the joints are just horrible, I think. Not the issue with this thing. But as you can see, I'm pretty sure this is it's just a different scale. You can still pose them obviously next to each other being robots. So yeah, other criticism I have is that clear stand being rectangular going in there, but it doesn't have enough pivot points. So these are U-Star aluminum stands, and they have 1, 2, 3 pivot points, so you can use these, pose your robots however you see fit. These are SD robots. So if that thing had a 3mm hole, although technically I think these are more like 2.8mm pegs, you could get some cooler poses out of this thing. So that's the one thing that could have been nicer. Or again, even just having that post be able to move to the center, so you could just center the robot more over the base. So far, after the posing, none of the joints are loose or anything like that. In fact, these hands are still kind of tight getting around that thing, but none of the joints that matter are a problem. So it seems pretty well designed, pretty well constructed, definitely well finished. It's a painted model. It looks pretty cool. It actually looks like something that would be from a robot boxing game or something like that. The lights are an interesting little feature. It just would have been nice if they included the batteries, and also if it have a light bar going to the top, and maybe the chest, those eyes in the chest maybe could have lit up as well. But honestly, after you look at lit up lights once, you rarely look at them again. So actually, totally unnecessary. But all right. Well, anyhow, if you like samurai-inspired robots, this is really awesome. I've never bought a Gundam Metal build because they're outlandishly expensive in my opinion. But I have this a suspicion that's what this is like. But if you have Gundam Metal builds and one of these Moshows, please leave a comment for everyone else. Do you think, Bandai's still better? Or do you think this is on par? Or do you even think maybe this is better than a Bandai product? So that would be interesting, I think, for everyone to want to know. I definitely want to know. Thank you for watching. I'm not sure if I'm going to buy another one of these because it's quite large. I just don't have room for this sort of stuff. Oh, but you never know. Thanks. Alright, we'll see you guys. And gals. And robots. AI's going to kill us all.